Welcome to ECN Trade Daily Video. Before we begin, it should be noted that any advice is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration.
Hello everyone, my name is Rob Clayton and thank you very much for joining me. Yesterday, the intraday signals for the Australian dollar failed to inspire the bullish traction, although the bears are just as cautious when it comes towards that level of 70 to 80. We are closely now about to challenge this level, and if we see a significant break, this would expose the region of 69.40.60, and from a technical implications, is in favour. We've got a MACD that's bearish, we've got an RSI, and we've got an ADX that is trending. So keep an eye on that. Any rallies should fail towards the region of 71.45 to 60. Now, overnight, White House advisor Larry Kudlow said a sizable distance remains between the US and China, and negotiations are, at this stage, look like to be non-existent. Also, reports emerged that a meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi isn't likely to happen before March the 1st deadline. But the US is likely to keep tariffs at 10% rather than raise them to 25% as scheduled. But we'll have to see how this all plays out. Not very positive for the Aussie though. And along with that, we have the RBA, who is neutral to dovish, after he said low rates might be appropriate if the unemployment rises and inflation stalls. So with a number of things, the Aussie will remain pretty much under pressure and therefore could see this break of 70 and expose the region of, as I mentioned, at 69.45 to 60. The euro remains bearish. Now overnight, the dollar index, which some of us may or may not know, measures the greenback strength against a basket of 6 major currencies, reclaimed the highs of 96.40 and posted a high of 96.44 before slightly easing back in the New York close. Earlier today, the monthly economic bulletin published by the European Central Bank reiterated that the incoming information about the Eurozone economic activity has surprised on the downside, while adding economic indicators had signaled a moderation in global growth momentum. There is some concerns that with the situation of slowing growth in China has impacted Europe and therefore could see further weakness in the coming days and see a rally in the US. I'm still holding a view to 112.55 and reassess from there. Looking at the dollar yen, it hasn't made any significant levels to the upside and still remains capped at 110.2025. I still believe, from a technical point, it could be bearish and therefore look back towards 109.55 and the base still holding at 108.45. As widely expected, the Bank of England kept interest rates on hold, but the UK Theresa May has vowed to deliver on Brexit following meetings in Brussels with the top EU officials, despite failing to win assurance on key changes she is seeking with the withdrawal. My work is delivered to Brexit, and now is time I'm going to be negotiating hard in the coming days to do just that. However, European Council President Donald Tusk, wrapping up a series of meetings in Brussels, did say on a Twitter that there is still no breakthrough in sight. So the pound could still be under pressure. Now overnight, from this descending triangle, it reached its target after posting a low of 128.53, and the objective was 40.60. On the rebound, there is still, at this stage, repercussions of a bearish case from the technicals, so therefore could see a move back to challenge that level of 128 and reassess from there. So with all the risks that are coming out, a mixture that is of geopolitical risks, that is, the global markets were slightly rattled, as I mentioned, from the US-China trade tensions, along with worries over slower global growth. Now, the clock is ticking, and it's only 90 days, or March the 2nd, for the China and US to reassess the tariffs. From a technical approach, you can see that gold fell to a low of 1,302 and rebounded. And from that rebound, looks up towards 12.16 to 24. Any pullbacks should still recognize the base from around 1,300 to about 1,305. And wrapping up with oil, well, unfortunately, my level of 53 was broken, so I'm neutral at the moment. I'm not very keen on how this technical pattern is playing out. And from the inverse in shoulders, we should be a lot higher by now, and we're not. So from the break of last night, I'd rather sit out for the moment and be neutral. Well, that wraps up for this week. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of the day and a great start to the new weekend.